Final home series of the regular season. Hello, everybody. We welcome you inside the booth at J.B. Moore Field. I'm Britt Bowen, joined alongside the former Auburn Tiger and Amy Reef. And Amy, I tell you what, we've got a good matchup with Auburn and Tennessee. The Lady Vols coming in off a series win over Georgia. Here's how they did it. They really just rode the bat of Ashley Morgan, the SEC Player of the Week. She had herself a weekend on Rocky Top.
She did, Brett, and for the second consecutive weekend, Tennessee got an SEC Player of the Week. And Ashley Morgan did it by hitting .600, reaching base in her first 6 plate appearances. She closed the weekend with 6 hits, 3 of those were doubles, a home run, and 6 RBIs.
Yeah, for Morgan on the year, she's hitting a cool .416 entering this game tonight. Her home run total on the year, 6 with 23 RBIs. Again, a 6 for 10 weekend last weekend against Georgia for the SEC Player of the Week in Ashley Morgan. For the Auburn Tigers, though, Amy, they've been riding their freshman phenom in Shelby Lowe. She's a left-hander. She's been lights out all year in the circle.
And she just continues to tear through the SEC. She's leading the SEC with a 1.06 ERA, which is currently the lowest by an AU freshman in program history. And you can see here just the way she's getting strikeouts, and she's 12 away from moving into second place for most by an Auburn freshman.
Lowe getting the start tonight, and why not, Amy? She's been the ace all year long, and likely we'll see her again on Sunday in this series. She's 13-5 on the year, going to live in the mid-60s, has good spin and movement. Amy, she's mostly an up-ball pitcher. What do you expect to see from her tonight against Tennessee?
Well, just what she's done all year. She's been consistent. She's come in and she's kept Auburn in every game, and so if she can get some run support, that's what Auburn will need tonight.
And she's going to need run support against Tennessee, because when you look at this lineup top to bottom for the Lady Vols, not a whole lot of holes in this lineup. And one to highlight, Kiki Malloy. She's hitting down in the middle of the order, but one of the fastest players in the SEC, currently leading the SEC in stolen bases. Not only that, Amy Reeves, she hits for power.
Yeah, and when we were talking to the coaches before the game, they basically called her a beast, and that's what she is. And they put it on us and said, please show me another player in the country that has that kind of power and speed together.
And for the Lady Vols, they're led by Ralph and Karen Weekly, the co-head coaches, in their 20th season. And hard to believe they've been at it that long and got a storied program up there in Knoxville. Looking to get a big series win this weekend in Auburn. They need it, and it's going to be an action-packed weekend for the Lady Vols. They've got 8 conference games in the middle of finals week, and they're going to start it off here on the Plains against the Auburn Tigers in a 3-game series. For Tennessee, it's Madison Weber to lead things off against Shelby Lowe. Lowe getting us started with the first pitch outside to Weber.
Auburn's coming here, Britt, and they're looking for their 3rd straight series win versus Tennessee.
Been hard to believe thinking about that, as Auburn and Tennessee have had they've had some battles over the years. I mean, I think back to 2015 specifically. These two teams played each other in the SEC Tournament Championship down in Baton Rouge, and they also saw each other a month later in Oklahoma City in the College World Series.
When these two teams get together, it's going to be a battle, and over the years, there have been some things that have gone on back and forth, so it's always a fun matchup to watch.
It's competitive, no question. Lowe evens the count with a 2-ball, 2-strike count with a strike on the outside corner. And for Mickey Dean, his team actually went to Tennessee a couple years back and stunned Tennessee 2 out of 3. 2-2 left up, Sky to the right side. A sun ball for Sydney Cox, but she'll take care of it for the first out. And speaking of the Auburn head coach, he just recorded his 600th career win last Sunday with a 3-1 victory over Ole Miss.
Anytime you get that many wins, you got to tip your hat. I mean, that's a combination of longevity and I'm not sure what they were discussing there, and then just consistently winning.
Well, that's why he got this job at Auburn, because of, he's won everywhere he's been, specifically at Radford, and then, of course, at James Madison. He was the coach that truly put James Madison on the map. in the D1 softball world. Here's Kaylin Hannon, the left fielder for Tennessee, or excuse me, for Madison Weber. It's going to be a called strike. So they called an illegal pitch on Shelby Lowe prior to the pop up to second base. So called strike 3 for Shelby Lowe.
Well, I think that's why Coach Dean went out there and was discussing with the umpires. And so gave her one more pitch, but Shelby Lowe put her down.
I think Lowe would rather the strikeout rather than the F4 in the scorebook. But here's Kaylin Hannon, the left fielder for Tennessee.
And I'm going to go ahead and start tallying those strikeouts, Brett, just in case.
Well, you're going to need them tonight with Shelby Lowe and Ashley Rogers going for Tennessee. 1-0's lifted up and foul for Hannon.
And you can see that sun is just beating down on the right side of the field. Rivera in right field has sunglasses on, but that first pop-up there, they were already fighting it. It could get interesting.
That's the thing about playing at this ballpark. And every ballpark has it, right? It's going to hit each ballpark differently. Well, at Auburn, it comes across the third base line and hits the right side of the infield. First, second, in right field. Well, they're going to have a time, at least for the next 30 to 45 minutes or so. Lowe falling behind to Hannon, a Franklin, Tennessee native who actually picked Tennessee over Auburn and Arkansas. So a little fun fact about the Tennessee left fielder tonight. Lowe needs a strike. She delivered one there.
I was kind of interested to see how these Tennessee hitters would come out against Lowe and how aggressive they would be. And you see a 3-1 count, and she takes that pitch. So it looks like they're going to be patient first time through the lineup.
Payoff, off speed, gets a chopper to second. Quick reaction from Sydney Cox, but it's enough for out number 2. And for Tennessee, it's the SEC Player of the Week in Ashley Morgan, the senior out of Douglasville, Georgia. And she's really come on in SEC play. Saw the numbers across the bug there. 4th best batting average in the SEC at .442 in conference play. And Amy, would just simply, when you think about the pitching and the level of pitching in this conference, I mean, you can hit above 300, that's good. Well, she's over 100 points higher than that.
You know, I thought the thing that Coach Weekly said that was really interesting was she's purposeful and intentional with her practicing. And I think that's what, you know, sets a hitter like her apart. When you get to this level, a lot of people can hit the ball. But like you said, how can you do it consistently and then above 400?
That's an excellent point that you and that you emphasize about Coach Weekly is, again, being intentional. Because, you know, she said there's also a balance, right? You don't want to be over-intentional and over-analytical of everything that you do, and said that Ashley's found a good balance there.
Might have another. This is very interesting to me. We were just discussing how this is the same crew from the last series with Kentucky, and not one illegal pitch was called last weekend.
Well, and from that view there, Amy, it looks like the foot did come off the rubber.
Just not sure how almost at the end of the season that's happening.
So it was an illegal pitch. 3 balls, no strikes on Ashley Morgan. Lowe goes down with it, and Morgan takes for ball 4. A 2-out walk. Can Tennessee make Auburn pay for that? Well, it'll come down to Allie Shipman.
Allie's been on a tear, Brett, her last few at bats, so kind of slow start to the season, but she's somebody you really don't want to pitch to right now.
A junior out of California. First pitch taking for a strike, and of course, most are familiar with her sister, Madison Shipman, who played at Tennessee, former SEC Player of the Year back in 2014, and Allie's followed in her footsteps and become a pretty good softball player for Tennessee. Amy, you mentioned the last few games. Well, those numbers indicate just that. A .410 batting average in the last 12 with 2 homers and nearly matched her RBI total from the first 27. 0-2, up the middle, off the glove of Lowe. No shot for McKenna Dowell. That's a hit off the middle for Allie Shipman. Lady Vols have something going with 2 outs.
That's a really good piece of hitting there, just squaring it up, and Lowe gets her glove on it, keeps it in the infield, and so they have first and second, 2 outs, but she just continues to put the ball in play and get on base.
This is a big bat coming in Chelsea Sengert. She has 12 doubles on the year, 2 for 7 last weekend against Georgia. Oh, taking something off on the first pitch.
I think this first inning is going to be really big for Auburn. If they can get out of this with no runs, kind of set the tone for the rest of the game.
Well, coming back, establishing the strike zone, getting ahead 0-2. And well, if there's one thing she's been good at this year, Amy, is pitching and throwing strikes with runners on base. You know, like she doesn't get rattled. It's going to take a lot to knock Shelby Lowe out of this ball game. And a close pitch missing for called strike 3.
Yeah, and that's something I've just noticed. Again, as a freshman, we talk about it all the time. She has just tremendous composure on the mound. You know, if you're watching at home and you see her there, you don't know if no one's on or the base is loaded. First inning, 7th inning, and that obviously contributes to how good she is.
1-2. Sengert sat down with a rise ball, and Shelby Lowe has 2 strikeouts here in the top of the first inning. Tennessee stranding 2. Shelby Lowe closing the door. Halfway through the first, we're scoreless in Auburn. Tennessee got nothing from a 2-out rally in the top of the first. Here they'll try to play some defense behind Ashley Rogers, the SEC strikeout leader with 221 strikeouts on the year. Takes a circle to start the night for Tennessee. Amy, what do you expect from her? As again, she's one of those pitchers that can hit all parts of the zone.
Well, 221 strikeouts is tremendous, but when you compare that to only 149 in a 3rd innings, it just tells the story even more. And she is a pure strikeout pitcher. She throws a rise ball, but she's so good because she can change speeds and she can use all zones.
Tyler King leading things off for Auburn. Bouncing one to short on the first pitch. The play at first is close, but Ivy Davis makes the play. And the rest of the lineup for the Tigers tonight. Mickey Dean, one thing he's going with is he wants aggressiveness. Who's going to jump on strikes early in the count? That's what he did game 3 against Ole Miss last weekend. It paid off for the Tigers, so things are shaking up a bit with Tyler King, Kaylee Horton, and Rivera hitting 1, 2, and 3.
Well, King came in and did just that. Jumped on a pitch, hit it out there, and I mean, it was just a great play at short.
1-0 pitch, a strike to Kaylee Horton. Horton actually had a chance to return to her former home last weekend at Ole Miss. She's an Ole Miss transfer, former SEC All-Defensive Team member out of Oxford. 1-1 pitch lifted up in the air. A chance for Hannon charging up and then back for the catch. So Auburn, Amy, you see it early from King and Horton. They're wanting to jump on those strikes early. What are your thoughts on that approach?
With a pitcher, like you have to.
Yeah.
You have. I mean, if you get down in the count and you start becoming defensive, and I mean that's where she gets all of her strikeouts.
Well, and for Auburn, that's what they struggled with, particularly in game 1. I mean, they lost 1-0 in an 8-inning extra inning contest last week to Ole Miss as Rivera offers at the first pitch. And Rivera, she picked up her 200th career hit last weekend in Oxford. Came in game 3 of the series. And Ashley Rogers taking advantage of that Auburn aggressiveness, living up in the zone against Rivera. Rogers needs a strike. Rivera fights one off.
There's a fine line, right, in coming out and being aggressive, and I think that's great for Auburn. They need to do that. They cannot sit back on this, but when it opens up the zone just a little bit more and you're free swinging, that's when the problems can happen.
Now Rogers coming back, all she needs is a pitch, particularly a strike. It'd be a pretty quick inning, too. One, two, lifted up, stays in the infield. Segern with room, and the inning comes to a close. A speedy 1-2-3 inning for Ashley Rogers. Through one, Auburn and the Lady Vols are scoreless. Kiki Malloy leading things off for Tennessee in the top of the second. And this is an incredible comparison here, Amy. Haley McClenny, most know her as one of the SEC softball greats, right? Well, Kiki Malloy is the only player in at least the modern era that's compared to Haley McClenny. You look at average, she can hit for power with home runs, and look at the stolen base number. She's actually edging McClenny in home runs and stolen bases. You just don't see talent like that day in and day out, and not just in the SEC, across the country.
Yeah, those numbers are just gaudy, really, and I think that just, again, goes to show when Coach Weekly was saying athletic beast, and I mean, just look at her. She absolutely is, and she can probably drop a bunt here, run it out, hit it over the fence. You just don't get that a lot.
In her sophomore season this year, she goes after the up pitch from low. Did I hear Coach Weekly correctly this week when she said that, well, last year really needed her to settle in and learn pitching at this level, where her first swing as a freshman was a home run?
Her first swing, not her first at bat.
Yeah,
I think her first swing.
How many people can say that?
I don't know, because she laughed and said, you know, everything from there is downhill. But she also then talked a lot about how she's really improved on her approach and working on her technique, and you know, it's got to be hard for all of those freshmen whose season was just cut short like that.
The chopper to third. No play for Koepke as he goes foul. Well, that's the thing, right? I mean, all the sophomores this year are essentially freshmen in a lot of ways, at least in conference play, because I think Auburn last year, they played one conference series. I'm not sure about Tennessee, but I mean, you have so many kids that are still learning.
Well, you look out at center field right there, and I think that kind of tells the picture, all those numbers around the AU.
Hot shot to short. Dowell taking care of business to Justice Perry.
You know, talk about freshmen coming back and their season cutting short. Well, then we had the seniors who decided to come back, and you know, we're celebrating 2020 and 2021, and just Auburn's just really done a great job of that too, you know, celebrating these kids.
Yeah, so Auburn this weekend, they're not going to have just one senior day. Amy, they're going to have to split it up with two because they've got so many seniors to honor. Riley West evening the count at a ball and a strike, starting at the DP position. She's a freshman. Not a good average, though, taking advantage of her opportunity this year with 26 hits and, again, 419 average.
You know, as the season goes on, Brett, I was kind of interested to see how Shelby Lowe would, you know, it can be a long season, especially for a freshman, especially in the SEC, and then, you know, these teams have film on you.
This one's got first base line. Sun ball for Perry. Still makes the running catch out of play. And Shelby Lowe has 2 up, 2 down, back-to-back innings.
Yeah, it just seems like tonight starting out, she's throwing a few more pitches than she usually does to start a game. But, I mean, she got out of the first inning just fine, and now she's 1-2 real quick.
Well, for Shelby, she did that last week in a game against Ole Miss, and she settled midway through, and that's what's going to be key here as this one goes on. Ivy Davis jumping on the first pitch. Davis, a senior shortstop, made a nice play in the first inning tonight.
That was a tremendous play. Hot shot to the backhand, got rid of it fast.
First batter for Auburn and Tyler King. Davis coming off a 1-for-9 weekend last week, but the one hit was a grand slam against Georgia, and she also has a walk-off home run against LSU. That happened back on March 13th. So while the average is a bit below 300, she still is, well, she's had her fair share of big moments in the SEC, and that's what you want in a hitter, right? Especially as postseason is approaching, is have a hitter that's been there in the big moment.
Yeah, and we were talking a little bit about before this game. I don't know of a team who would want to face Tennessee moving forward. They haven't been healthy outside of maybe the first SEC series. They have some players coming on right now like Allie Shipman, and no one would want to face Rogers. I really think this is going to be a tough team down the stretch.
To Hopper, to Dowell, and it's a 1-2-3 inning for the Tigers and Shelby Lowe. Nice work by the freshman. We're scoreless midway through the second. Bottom of the second in game one between 16th ranked Tennessee and the Auburn Tigers. And head coach of the Tigers, Coach Mickey Dean, well, last Sunday was a special one for him. Picked up his 600th career win, and he never had a chance with a silly streak.
I think that's one of the most awesome things about sports is when, something like that happens, and then we talk to him about the players that he heard from afterwards, players that he coached 10 years ago. And I know for me, that's a special moment when I get a text from somebody who just got married or had a baby, and that's awesome. And congrats to Coach Dean on 600.
Well, for Coach Dean, too, I mean, that's what it's about is Sydney Cox takes the 1-0 pitch low. It's about the players you impact. It's about the players that you develop, not just as athletes. I mean, us as fans, I mean, it's easy for us to forget that, hey, you're not just taking in an athlete, you're taking in someone's child, right? And you're taking in a young adult who's really walking into the most important 4-year stretch of their life in terms of development. And well, that's what these coaches, not just Coach Dean, but all coaches at this level have a chance to do.
Well, and you spend hours together, right? And you're in the trenches, and, fans come out and they'll see a few hours on game day. They don't see what goes in, early morning workouts, the study halls on the bus, all the travel. And, yeah, it's really a family. And sometimes you see those people more than you do your own family. Just foul down the line.
That was a hot shot off the bat of Sydney Cox, who started off the year great for Auburn. And she's one that's been trying to figure it out in SEC play. Hit well above 300 most of the year, and it's dipped below there just to, again, learning how to hit in the SEC. But Coach Dean's still confident in her. Amy is, she's still hitting in the cleanup spot.
Well, and her slugging percentage is second highest there on the team, so when she puts a charge into one, it'll go.
Freshman out of Asheboro, North Carolina, who has held down second base since the second week of the season. Here she takes a 3-2 ball up and out of the zone for a leadoff walk. And that's the first base runner allowed by Ashley Rogers.
Yeah, and you don't see very many of those either, walk. especially in a leadoff. And now this is a position where Auburn really needs to play offense, not hit the ball, play offense, and put a run across.
Yeah, for Rogers, that's only her 33rd walk in 150 and a third innings pitched. Think about that.
Yeah, and I think that as a hitter, that shows like you're going to get a good pitch to hit, and I think that's why they came in the first inning, you know, free swinging and got good pieces, really.
Garcia taking a strike at the knees from Rogers. Garcia had a big day against Ole Miss on Sunday on her birthday. She had a 2-hit afternoon that helped propel her Tigers to a 3-1 victory. 1-1, lays one just foul. Boy, Segern, she came flying up down the line, and if that ball stays fair, because it jumped off the bat, I'm not sure if Segern would have had a play on it.
No, but just going back to playing offense, that's a time where you really need to move the runner there, get him in the scoring position, give yourself up. So now we got to find a way to do it without bunting.
And if Auburn's had a trouble on offense this year, it's been just that, right? In moving runners, especially early in innings with nobody out. Two-two. First base side, a good effort from Ashley Morgan, just out of reach.
That ball just kept drifting. She had a beat on it. I thought for a second she was going to get it, and then about a foot out of reach. You know, back in the day when those nets weren't there, I think she might have caught them.
Rogers and Garcia continuing to battle. Two to Garcia. Another ground ball foul. What are you seeing from this battle between Rogers and the Auburn DP Garcia?
Well, really great job, actually. You know, she was asked to bunt, didn't get the bunt down, and is now trying to do her job. And you can see she's trying to get on top of the ball and, you know, put it in play and move the runner.
Garcia, she does have pop. I mean, she has sneaky power. 3 homers on the year. Ground ball to short. Davis, quick turn to second for one. The throw to first, well late from Anna Fox, but the lead runner is retired. Sunday at 6 Eastern, 5 Central on the SEC Network is the second game of a big softball 3-game series between number 7 Arkansas and number 14 LSU in Baton Rouge. They'll finish up the series and the regular season Monday on the SEC Network with coverage starting at 7 Eastern, 6 Central. SEC softball is also available on the ESPN app all season, so you can watch anywhere. McKenna Dowell batting 6th in the Auburn lineup tonight. For the better part of this year, Amy, she has been the leadoff hitter for Auburn in this lineup.
Yeah, and you know, a lot of times you put your second leadoff per se in the 7 hole, but you know, Dow's got some pop too, and so I think Dean's trying to kind of mix it up so we can drive in some runs. If
long run from the middle infield for Ivy Davis as it tails out of play.
It's another ball that just keeps tailing there. I think she had a lot more room there than she initially thought.
Yeah, you see Auburn players, you know, we've had a chance to see them a few times this year here at Jane B. Is that tarp there, I think, makes every middle infielder a bit hesitant to make a play.
A lot of times you'll see the catcher, you know, get up and go with the ball there and kind of help them out, but I don't know if that one had enough height on it.
Two to Dowell. A chance shallow left for Hannon. Long run, drops out of play again.
I don't know about you, Brett, but if that happens to me a second time, I'm definitely laying out. I mean, the first time you lay out in foul territory, for sure, you don't catch it, you don't catch it. But that one, it wasn't going to get by. It wasn't hit hard enough if you dive and you don't catch it that it gets by.
Same spot. And Rogers continuing to beat Dowell in regards of Dowell being behind, but she continues to fight him off. Two, high and inside. That's a foul ball off the handle of the bat.
And, you know, the more pitches that Auburn makes Rogers throw, obviously a benefit to them. And Rogers is coming off, you know, her worst outing that she's had all season, and that may be in the back of her mind a little bit. You see that rise ball kind of gets up and in, and Dow just gets a little piece of it, fouls it off.
2-2's high and inside for ball 3. And yeah, for Rogers, it was an uncharacteristic outing in game 3, but every pitcher has them in this league. I mean, she gave up 8 earned runs, the most allowed in her career against Georgia in her last appearance. This time, she gives her middle infielder, Ivy Davis, a chance to make the play. Third time's a charm. It's 2 down, and Ivy Davis taking care of business.
You know, we talk about giving up the 8 runs, and the rest of that story is that game went extra innings.
Yeah.
So they still had a chance to win.
Again, still took 2 out of 3 in that game extra innings. They were going for the sweep in game 3 over Georgia. Here's Madison Kepke, third baseman for the Tigers, and she's been a fun success story to follow for the Tigers over the course of the last month. And little to no playing time in non-conference play, first couple weeks in SEC play. Here's popped up at third, just enough room for Chelsea Segard. That helps Ashley Rogers out in the circle. We're through 2 on the Plains. The Lady Vols and Auburn even at 0. Top of the third between Auburn and Tennessee, and the Tennessee Lady Vols, they're 16th in the country. Started the season 17-1, 10th in the RPI, 12-80 against the top 50, and well, you can do that when you have Ashley Rogers in the circle. She's 5th in the country with 200-plus strikeouts on the year. Still seeking that first one tonight, but right now seeking some offense first here in the top of the third, Amy, and we're expecting a chance for a good pitcher's duel with Shelby Lowe, SEC's ERA leader. And now against Ashley Rogers, the SEC strikeout leader, and that's just what we have here in this opening game of the 3-game series.
We do, cruising right along, only 1 hit. And we could go back to, you were just talking about Tennessee there, and it said they were 8-7. They gave the record, they're 8-7 in the SEC. I don't think that tells the story at all.
Yeah, and when you said that, Amy, I think you said last inning, you know, this is not a Tennessee team you'd want to face down the stretch. Well, I've had the privilege of calling a few Tennessee games the last few years, and there's not ever been a Tennessee team that I think I would be comfortable playing. I mean, they're especially a team led by the Weeklies, and you know what you're getting in that program, and how hard those kids play for that program is getting one of the most competitive teams in the league year in and year out.
Well, I think we got a little taste of Coach Weekly's recruiting when we were talking to her, because I was sold. I was completely sold when she started talking about this team and, you know, saying how she can't recall a bad practice, and every day they come to work. And the thing that stuck out to me most, let me watch this pitch here.
Inside to Anna Fox, second baseman for Tennessee.
As she said, you know, all of the practices are great, but they're not perfect. And that's what's so good about them, because they're struggling to get better and they don't mind the struggle. And she's like, if you're having a good practice and things aren't going wrong, then you're not getting better. And when she said that this team just has good leaders and a good vibe and a fun group, that stuck out to me like, okay, this team's going in the right direction at the right time.
Well, that's what we asked her, is like, hey, what do you want us to know about your team? Because, again, when teams come in, we want to be able to tell their story. And it's always fun when you can hear a coach say that with confidence. Shelby Lowe coming back, 3-2. Getting her third strikeout already here at the top of the third.
That's a good way to start the inning when you're facing 9-1-2. Come right at 9. And yeah, and just that stat really just shows everything. 7 World Series appearances. And, you know, we've had a couple teams in the SEC who've made it their job to show up at the World Series, but the Weeklies have just done an unbelievable job. 2 national runner-up finishes, 2 SEC tournament titles.
Well, in a lot of ways, they paved the way for teams like Alabama, for teams like Florida, who, Tennessee, yeah, they still don't have a national title, but they were the first one to get there. They were the first one to show the SEC that, hey, we belong on the national stage. And there's a pop-up right side. Over the shoulder catch is Justice Perry down the line. That sits down the leadoff hitter in Madison Weber.
You know, that's going to go on out in the book, and everyone's going to forget about it because it was, but I think Perry should have been called off on that. And we was talking about fighting the sun there, fighting the sun and catching it over your shoulder when you're standing right there. That's a tough play.
It's Justice Perry and Sidney Cox. They've had a lot of reps together side by side on the right field side, or the right-hand side of the infield.
That's a fair point. You got to have a lot of trust to let that happen right there.
It's Kaylin Hannon with 2 outs for Tennessee.
You know, Britt, going back to Tennessee real quick, I don't know if a lot of people remember this. When the SEC started in 1997, there were 2 teams that had been playing softball before that, and Tennessee was one of them.
I actually did not realize that.
Yeah, South Carolina was the other, and so they kind of had a leg up, a little jump on the rest of the SEC.
Well, especially coming up before I started broadcasting games, is, you know, when I thought of SEC softball, like most things in women's athletics, you think of Tennessee, and that's because of the work the Weeklies have been able to do on Rocky Top. And, you know, just to the point that you made earlier, I'm interested to see how they can finish the last stretch of this regular season and maybe go into Tuscaloosa with a bit of momentum. Shelby Lowe needs a strike. She gets it here with a strikeout swinging from Kaylin Hannon. Shelby Lowe with a tip of the cap to Aspen Godwin. 4 strikeouts for the freshman through 3. Shelby Lowe dealing for the Auburn Tigers. Home half of the 3rd inning between Auburn and Tennessee. Not much offense to show for. And, well, we have the SEC strikeout leader in the circle, and the SEC's ERA leader, well, you can expect that. And not only is Rogers first in strikeouts and opponent's batting average, she's second in wins and innings pitched, facing an aggressive hitter in Justice Perry. And for Rogers, she is making a strong case for some postseason awards coming up in a few weeks.
Yeah, especially that USA Softball Player of the Year list.
I like to think she's going to be a good candidate for SEC Pitcher of the Year. I mean, it seems like she's been SEC Pitcher of the Week more times than not this year in SEC play.
Well, and to be honest, it's really fun to see her in person, not just on TV, because her stuff is the real deal.
37 pitches so far in Game 1 against Auburn, and she has allowed a walk, and that's it. One, two. Perry goes up to chase one and just sliced it foul. For Perry, Amy, I've been waiting for her to come to the plate for 3 innings now because I can't look at home plate tonight, well, without seeing the Justice Perry cutout sitting behind the plate tonight.
You know, I saw it early, and there it is.
Yeah, you see it up, sitting just above the left-handed batter's box there, but between her mom and some family.
That's amazing.
Her parents have traveled to every corner of the Southeastern Conference over the last 4 years. And not just them, that's what's fun about this league, is so many parents do that. And that's what's also fun is you do this long enough, you start to get to know some of the parents and certainly respect them and their commitment to softball. 3-2 pitch. Justice fights back from a 1-2 count to draw a second leadoff walk from Ashley Rogers. Both walks back-to-back innings have come to the leadoff hitter.
You know, I think this year has been a little tough on the parents, too, in terms of COVID. I know no tailgating.
Yeah.
And Auburn is obviously a huge campus for that to happen, and you know, softball games and all of the sports, really.
Yeah, it's not just limited to football. I mean, because here at Auburn, I've seen it at softball. I've seen it at soccer in the fall.
They get some good tailgates over at soccer.
And here for Justice Perry, we'll have our first pinch runner of the night. And it'll be a speedster in Michaela Packer. She's Auburn's stolen base leader this year. She's perfect on the year in stolen base attempts. Packers 13 for 13. Aspen Godwin's going to try to bunt her over.
You know, now we got a situation here. And you can see Tennessee's going to come talk about it, because if Auburn could get a stolen base in this at bat and then bunt her over, and then you got a runner at third with less than 2 outs. I mean, that's the kind of offense they have to find tonight.
There's a look at where Packer is amongst freshmen in stolen bases in Auburn history. Tied for second with her first base coach, Emily Carasoni. That's Shannon Anderson right with 21 from back in 2002.
Listen, I got to give Shannon a total shout out here, because she is a tremendous artist.
Did you play with her, right?
I coached her.
Coached her.
Yeah.
Godwin wanting to move another runner over as Auburn failed on a sac bunt attempt last inning. Godwin, an interesting note about her, hits with power in the 9th spot, but hasn't hit a home run since non-conference play in March.
And really, as the 9-hole hitter here, you want to do your job to roll it back over to the top. And, you know, I think Tennessee knows how important the stolen base, leading the SEC with 84, but Auburn's right behind him with 64, so they know that that's a possibility.
Way down a bunt, Godwin gloved by Morgan, and Aspen Godwin did her job, moving Michaela Packer up to second.
It was a really, really good job, actually. You know, I'm sitting here talking about how important it is and just acting like it's so easy, but when you're facing a pitcher like Rogers, who's a rise ball pitcher, it can be hard to get on top of it and get that bunt down, so Aspen Godwin did a really good job.
So runner on second for the Tigers leadoff hitter in Tyler King. She saw one pitch in her first AB and smoked it to shortstop. Ivy Davis made a stellar catch. King being aggressive here again on the first pitch.
Tennessee's outfield has King shaded way to left center, and there is a big gap down the right field line. And I mean, obviously they're playing statistics and the odds of her getting around on an outside pitch or a rise ball and hitting it down there is not likely, but there's still a pretty decent gap out there in right center.
Yeah, most of her hits have come to the opposite field. She can sit back and square one up, but she can also slap one and put one in play to make it tough on the defense. 350 clip with runners in scoring position, and here's the first runner in scoring position of the night for either Auburn or Tennessee. Well, I'll take that back. Tennessee had runners at first and second in the first, but the first for Auburn nonetheless. It's Michaela Packer getting a healthy leadoff second.
Yeah, and I think she's shaking her head there, wondering maybe if she should have taken third. And it's hard to say there. You don't want to run yourself out of an inning, but if you get a big jump and you're going right when it hits the dirt, maybe.
Caught in the air by Segern at third. Third baseman taking care of the hot corner.
You know, Tyler down in the count there and still gets her bat on it. just grabs it before it hits the dirt.
It's a big out. Now Tennessee needs one to end the threat here in the bottom of the third. Going to come down to Kaylee Horton, who lined out to left in her first AB tonight. Oh, one swing and a miss. Nobody covering third. Ball gets away. That's a stolen base for Michaela Packer. Make it 14 for 14 for the Auburn freshman. She's now second all-time in stolen bases among freshmen at Auburn.
You know, a lot of times it's picking a good count, and that is just such a tough play for the shortstop to defend and then get over on the stolen base. So Coach Dean was watching that in center.
But Ashley Rogers closes the door, called strike three. Horton goes down looking. First strikeout of the night for Ashley Rogers. It comes at a good time for the SEC strikeout leader. We're through three in Auburn, still scoreless. Shelby Lowe's been next to untouchable tonight for Auburn. 4 strikeouts through 3 innings against a very good Tennessee hitting team. And well, you see here, she's hitting all parts of the zone and using her defense behind her. And you talk about freshman pitchers in SEC or in Auburn history rather, and well, Shelby Lowe's going to be in that conversation. First in ERA, first in walks per 7 innings, and she's not done yet in her freshman season, trying to close out this year strong. And for Auburn, despite the struggle, she has been an incredible bright spot for the orange and blue.
Well, to just put that in perspective, that graphic showed the name Kristen Keys and how she holds the program record with the 1.06 ERA. And I know you see 2004, but what you don't see is super regionals didn't exist at that time. So if that kind of puts a timeline perspective into what Shelby Lowe is doing.
Well, for Shelby Lowe, she also joins the company of Kaylee Carlson and Michaela Martin. And I know Tiger fans will remember those two from the runs that Auburn had to Oklahoma City in 2015 and 2016, and also the Super Regionals in 2017.
Well, and Keys was a JUCO transfer also. She was not doing that as a freshman. And she was a tremendous pitcher and took Auburn to a regional at Florida State. But, I mean, Shelby Lowe is doing things that just numbers are not telling the whole story.
Hot shot off the bat, a base hit for Ashley Morgan through the right side. First hit of the night for Tennessee. But for Shelby Lowe, she was just named a finalist for postseason award for National Freshman of the Year, and one of many SEC finalists, along with Erin Koffel, Lexi Kilfoyle, Jenna Laird, Kiki Malloy, and Taylor Pleasance. I mean, these are all players, Amy, that Auburn will have faced this year in their schedule, by the way. Just realize that. And all great talents on this list, and it's going to be fun to see who comes out on top with that win.
Well, just the talent in the SEC in general is, you know, over the years it's gotten a little more credit, but I mean, top to bottom, I think it is the best conference.
Caitlin Parsons in to pinch run for Tennessee. Parsons 13 for 13 on the year. 2019 all-freshman team member in the SEC.
Well, we were talking about stolen bases last inning with Auburn, and there's a good chance that Tennessee's definitely going here.
Allie Shipman hit and run, hit well into left, turns foul.
Nope, I think they called.
Another illegal, no, that she left early.
She left early, yeah.
So Parsons called out for leaving early. And I almost said, Amy, another illegal pitch, because we've had 2 of those this game already from Shelby Lowe.
I think they're just looking for a little clarification here. But yes, that's what happened.
Coach Weekly gets it from the home plate umpire, Bradley Newton.
And that's huge. That completely changes an inning. I mean, you're at a Tennessee lineup here that's going through the second time now, seeing low. You had a runner at first base, no outs. And
Shipman skies at all speed to shallow right. Sidney Cox beating Rivera to the ball and for the catch. It's 2 outs. You know, we talked about the sun early in the first inning, and there's been a lot of plays on the right side of this infield for Auburn, and to their credit, they're not letting the sun be an excuse. I mean, this is their home field. This is an atmosphere they get to practice in every day.
Yeah, they certainly fought it, and they've caught all of them. Some questionable in my opinion, but they've got all the outs.
Here's Sager, drives one right center field. It clears the wall. Lady Vols on the board with a Chelsea Sager solo blast. 5th of the year, 21st RBI for the Lady Vol third baseman. 1-0 Lady Vols.
And that was an absolute no-doubter. I think Rivera and Horton did the courtesy turnaround and couple-step jog, but that was out of here off the bat.
Well, if there's been any weakness to Shelby Lowe this season, Amy Reef, in my opinion, has been just that. It has been one mistake pitch per series where she leaves the ball over the plate and gives up a home run. But there you see Coach Weekly. She's still not happy.
Well, that's 2 runs that, you know,
yeah.
she wants the other run there.
Yeah, you're right, because a 1-run game, especially with Ashley Rogers, a 1-run game and a 2-run game are much different.
Oh, yeah. And, you know, we were talking about earlier going through all the stolen bases and how many they have. And on the flip side of that, Auburn isn't throwing out anyone.
Yeah.
So for Tennessee to leave early there, they did cost themselves a run probably.
Well, that's why Kiki Malloy is so important. Smokes one to third, but foul. Because Malloy, I want to talk Tennessee stolen bases. You can't talk without talking Malloy. She's 32 for 33 this year in stolen bases and has 32 of Tennessee's 84 stolen bases on the year. First in the SEC. Oh, 1 up high, and for Coach Weekly, she's still letting her opinion be heard about the runner leaving early. And
you know, there's been a lot of discussion this year about, you know, some questionable calls.
And there's been a lot of them. Not harping on the umpires too much, but from the coach's perspective, there has been a lot of them, and which is why I think, Amy, at some point, video replay's got to be added to softball, right?
Yes, but on the flip side of that, and something that I didn't even think about is that one is laced to left there.
2-out base hit for Kiki Malloy.
But, you know, we talk about COVID having all of these impacts, and I was listening to someone talking about umpires the other day, and what we don't realize is it has also impacted them.
Yeah.
They did not get the reps, and a lot of people don't realize these same umpires, you know, you think you come up to Division I, SEC, and you just got a whole set of new umpires, and that's not the case. I mean, they're umpiring in the summers, they're umpiring in the fall. They didn't get any of that.
Yeah, they umpire year-round, and let's remember, too, is without umpires, we don't get to do this.
Correct. And it's not a job I would want by any stretch.
Absolutely not. And again, I've said it before and I'll say it again. It's easy to make calls when you have a screen. First pitch to Riley West, missed.
A screen and a replay and sitting back here and watching with nothing on the line. Yes, it's very easy now. Should they be held accountable for some of them? Absolutely, and that's their job. But I had not thought about the fact that they didn't get the usual reps either.
And it's not just in softball, it's in every sport. Here's another hit. Riley West all the way to the wall, off the wall, missing a home run. Malloy coming home to score. That is an RBI double for Riley West in Tennessee. It's 2-0 Lady Vols.
Well, and that's really 3 at-bats back to back to back that they've really got a good piece of Low, and with 2 outs and touching bags and not stopping, that's how you score from first base. I mean, obviously Malloy has speed, but she's going from the get-go, and that ball was hit hard.
That's the thing about Tennessee. They can swing the sticks. Hitting .322 as a team and driven in 243 RBIs this year as a team. And they hit for power. They hit gap to gap. Riley West lines her 10th double of the year. Coach Dean having a long chat with Shelby Lowe and Aspen Godwin. And it goes back to the conversation we were having earlier. Just think if Parsons wasn't called out early for stealing first, this would be a 3-0 game right now.
Yeah, and every run at this point getting late is going to mean something for sure. And Auburn does have a little action down there at the bullpen, but it's tough. It'd be tough to pull Low here. I mean, she's your ace. She's got you here, and she's gotten herself out of these things. You got 2 outs.
It's been a 4-hit 4th inning. 2 extra base hits with a solo home run from Segard, and then the RBI double from Riley West. It's going to come down to the shortstop in Ivy Davis. Lady Vol fan base is fired up. That's one thing I've always loved about Tennessee too, Amy, is their fans travel so well.
They do, and they like to play that song.
Bouncing ball, hot shot. Koepke stumbles on third, gets up, and still makes the play. How about that for Madison Koepke? Tennessee taking advantage of a 4-hit 4th inning. The solo blast from Chelsea Segard puts the Lady Vols on the board. It's 2-0 Tennessee halfway through the 4th. Scoreless through 3, and Chelsea Segard broke the scoreless tie with a solo home run. Riley West added an RBI double. All came in the 4th inning, and Ashley Rogers has held the Tigers hitless through 3. Shelby Lowe, 3 solid innings. The 4th inning got beat up a bit. How can the Tigers respond here in the home half of the 4th inning? Heart of the lineup due up with Alyssa Rivera to lead things off.
When you have a pitcher like Rogers, who's tough to begin with, and then you give her a couple runs, it makes it even tougher.
Oh, 1 hit in the air, foul. Rivera swung at the first 2 pitches of both at-bats so far tonight. So she's coming up with an aggressive mindset. 24 hits on the year. She's been one of Auburn's best hitters in conference play. Well, especially early on. I mean, when Auburn needed a hit, needed a spark, when the offense was hard to come by, especially against Alabama, Arkansas, well, she was the player that did it.
Well, and she got her 200th base hit, and I've said this offense kind of goes how she goes. It's really, really hard not to get excited and hitting to get contagious when you see Rivera get a hit, because it's just fun to watch.
One of 6 players in Auburn history with 200 hits, 120 plus RBI, and 110 plus runs scored. That's pretty good when you can say you're one of 6.
Yeah, and she's in the top 10 in 6 different offensive categories.
I would like to think her first base coach is also in that conversation, and Emily Carasoni. Here's a liner to the gap, left center field, extra bases coming for Rivera. She's in, standing up.
And there's the excitement that you love to see.
First hit of the night for the Tigers.
Now she just kind of threw her bat out there, and you know, when you have a pitcher like Rogers, she's going to supply the power. So if you can square that up, you do just what Rivera did and gets all the way out to left center and hustle out of the box, and she picks up yet another double.
That's her 5th double of the year. Now the Tigers We'll have a chance to get back into it. Ground ball to second to Anna Fox. Retires Sydney Cox, but it moves Rivera up to third.
Yeah, you know, you come out and you get a double like that and you're thinking, oh, let's get a hit. But that is a great piece of hitting, and that's the offense that we were talking about earlier. So now you just got to follow that up with, again, another ball to the right side or a fly ball, sacrifice fly.
And Coach Weekly wants time to talk.
Well, I'd be interested to see where they do put the infielders, if they will go for the play of the plate or go back and get the out, because 2 runs, that's a lot different than 1 run.
Tomorrow night on the SEC Network is the second game of a big 3-game weekend series between number 13 South Carolina and number 19 Ole Miss at Swayze Field in Oxford. Coverage begins at 7 Eastern, 6 Central. SEC Baseball is also available on the ESPN app, so you can watch anywhere. And just like SEC softball, SEC baseball is about as good as it gets around the country.
I'm a little partial to SEC baseball, Brett.
I wonder why. Here's Garcia deep to right. Back on the warning track. Going up is Weber. A sacrifice fly for Sydney Garcia. 14th RBI. And the Tigers are on the board. They cut the lead in half.
And again, just like Cox, you know, wanting the base hit, and that one got close, and Garcia, you can see her slap her hands, like, and I know she wanted to get that one out, but pushing a run across is huge right here. There's still a lot of game left.
Clears the bases for McKenna Dowell. Grounder up the middle, through for a 2-out base hit. Hitting starting to become contagious for Auburn.
Again, early in the count, getting good swings on it.
And now for Auburn, the tying run on base. And for Auburn, you got to feel positive right now because, well, runs have been hard to come by for them in the SEC. Here's Koepke waking up the Tennessee dugout. And to be able to respond to a 2-run 4th inning is big because, like you said, Amy, it's going to keep Auburn at least in this game with a chance down the stretch against Ashley Rogers.
Well, and I think the other big part of this story is they've struck out 1 time. And I think that's a reflection of the approach that they've brought. They're not swinging at pitches way out of the zone. They're making her bring it down. I mean, they've chased a couple rise balls, but you're going to have that with Rogers.
One jam to third is Segard for the routine out. For the Tigers, they get a run back. A sac fly from Lindsey Garcia. It's 2-1 Lady Vols through 4.
Watch me do what I do. I'm in charge. I make the rules. Yeah, I ain't got nothing to prove. Yeah, I'm in charge. I run the school. Ready, set, strike.
If you're a softball fan, it's one of the best weeks of the calendar year, the SEC softball tournament. And here's where we stand today. The Auburn Tigers, they're 11th in the conference. Tennessee, they're middle of the pack, trying to gain some ground. And Tennessee's got a big week ahead. They have 8 games here down the stretch to close out the season, including a midweek against Mississippi State. Pinch hitter in Amanda Ayala hitting for Anna Fox. Ayala, she's been out of the lineup for Tennessee. I think she's been one of those players, Amy, that hasn't been healthy the last few weeks.
Well, and that gets back again to what they were talking about. They have not had a completely healthy lineup the entire SEC.
Ayala, man, she's another one of those game changers. I mean, she was 3 for 9 with a home run against Kentucky a couple weeks back. 34 starts in right field, and one of the best batting averages in the SEC as well. Average at .393. It comes in the top 10. I think it's 8th right now in the SEC. It has not played against that Kentucky series back nearly a month ago in early April.
Well, she has some power too. 9 doubles, 8 home runs. In that last inning, Auburn did a great job to hold Tennessee to 2 runs, but Tennessee brought 6 runners to the plate, and that turns over a lineup really fast.
That's exactly what's going to happen here. Ayala representing the 9th batter of the order tonight as the pinch hitter. Oh, going off speed. That one missing low and outside, as I think she wanted that one.
Yes, I think she, and who wouldn't? You know, the one thing that Lowe came back after those 3 hits in a row, I didn't see one changeup in any of those at bats, and then she came back and threw the changeup. You need to slow those bats down when that's happening, and I think that's going to play a part in this inning.
One thing I've noticed is second time around for Tennessee, and this is Ayala's first at bat, so it may not necessarily apply specific to her, but Tennessee's done a great job adjusting. You know, they had the 4 strikeouts the first time around, but that second time around, Tennessee started to figure things out, and now Ayala, although this is her first at bat, well, she's got the book on her. But Shelby Lowe, strikeout looking, froze Ayala on the 3-2 off speed.
Yeah, we were just talking about approaches, and with 2 strikes, I mean, that's just a great pitch. Comes down at the knees, and Ayala kind of tried to sell it there. She wanted to throw the bat, maybe get the walk, but that was a tremendous pitch.
Strikeout counters up to 5 for Shelby. 164 in her Auburn career. Madison Weber, the leadoff hitter. 0 for 2, trying to get something going. Struck out looking in the first at bat. And a nice catch by Justice Perry over at first base in foul territory in her second AB.
You know, Weber led off for the first time in her entire career in Game 3 against Georgia. So just last week, and you know, Tennessee's done the same thing, and probably with injuries and all of that, trying to find the best lineup to work for them. But that's a tough ask to come in and be the leadoff, and she struggled a little bit tonight.
One's a called strike. Lowe is starting to find her stuff with that off speed there.
I really think that was the key in the 4th inning. You did not see a changeup in those string of at-bats.
One, 2 in the air, shallow right center. Or excuse me, right field rather. And it's Sydney Cox for the catch, and it's 2 down. And for games ahead on the road to the College World Series, some pretty big ones. Number 4 Alabama, number 22 Georgia in the SEC, and number 7 Arkansas at number 14 LSU. Arkansas trying to do something they've never done before, and that's win their first regular season championship. First pitch swinging for Kaylin Hannon.
You know, Arkansas went last weekend and lost 2 to Missouri. I think that's the first time they've lost a series all year, so this weekend has turned out to be a little more interesting than I think we previously thought.
Auburn heads down to the Bayou next weekend to finish the regular season. Bunt foul from Hannon. And you mentioned Missouri. They play Florida this weekend, another top 15 matchup. Ole Miss leading a pretty good UCF team, and Alabama leading Georgia 4-0.
I don't know about you, Brett, but I think it would be fun to see someone else win the SEC this year, regardless of just, that was a shocking stat to me.
Yeah, it's been Alabama and Florida pretty much controlling the league for the last decade plus.
I mean, when you think back to, the teams that have gone through and have made it to the, I had no idea, actually, that it was just those two teams. I mean, I obviously knew they were good, but that somebody else didn't sneak in there.
Popped up is Justice Perry calling off Cox. And a 1-2-3 inning for Shelby Lowe. Top of the fifth, Lady Vols, they lead it, but Shelby Lowe keeps them at bay. It is a busy week for the Tennessee Lady Vols. They got a 3-game series at Auburn, followed by a midweek doubleheader at Mississippi State. Then they come back home to finish out the regular season with a top 15 matchup with Missouri. And Amy, not only that, it's finals week for Tennessee.
There's a lot to unpack there, Britt, and I want to talk about it because we'll watch this pitch here. The fact that you're playing, softball through the years, that doesn't seem like a lot of games, right? We've played 2, 3, 4 sometimes in tournaments, and then you get here, but 8 games in a week. And Mississippi State, they have to reschedule that. There was the COVID protocols. But 8 games in a week, and then you add finals. That is just a lot for a student athlete.
Well, the finals, first and foremost, comes to my mind is because, oftentimes non-conference, they flirt with that when non-conference games in the midweek, and then you go to weekend tournaments. But not only that, how does it affect pitching? Because Rogers misses outside for a 2-2 count. Because Rogers, she's getting a week rest. She's pitching twice on the weekend and not having to pitch in the midweek. So for Tennessee, who do they go out and throw in the midweek against Mississippi State? Now, they have plenty of options.
Well, again, and these games are important, and they want to win these games, and they're facing a Mississippi State team that, let's face it, is 1-14 in the SEC.
And they need wins.
And they're facing Auburn, who is in the lower half of the SEC. They need wins. And they're looking at it for seeding. They're one of the options to host a regional.
Justice Perry continuing to fight against Ashley Rogers. And all great points. Because
I just thought Coach Weekly, her response was, it really didn't even faze her. She was like, it is what it is. And she's like, I have so much faith in my kids. They are great students.
And you just nailed it, is the student's resume in the classroom is, she says, we've got a great group of kids who take care of business. They don't put themselves in bad situations. And that's when you've got a great class, right? Not just good at softball, but they want to be excellent in all aspects of their college career.
Right. They have great rapport with the professors. Another foul ball. Justice Perry's having a good at bat. But then, the big thing was she was like, we're in the point of the season where it is mental, not physical. And the hay's in the barn is the phrase that she used. And we're not going to learn how to hit at this point or learn how to pitch at this point. And so their job as coaching staff, another foul ball, is to keep their team fresh. And when they come to the ballpark, that's their release. And I just thought that was an awesome way to look at it. Because these kids are under some stress sometimes that, you don't think about.
Justice Perry, high fly ball, deep to left. Room to make the catch is Kaylin Hannon on the warning track. That gave everybody in the stands a charge, but it's Ashley Rogers and Kaylin Hannon who had the last laugh. That's a big out.
Well, I think off the bat, everyone in the ballpark, including Kaylin Hannon, thought that ball was out, and it just got up too high and just stayed there. What a great job by Hannon going back. finding the wall and making the catch.
And you saw the grounds crew member just throwing his arms saying, man, we missed one. And Kaylin Hannon, good job staying with it. Plenty of time to make the catch. And now Ashley Rogers, she's one step closer as this game's getting deeper and deeper. And now one swing of the bat, though, for Auburn can change it. Only a one-run game.
Yeah, and that's why the run was so important in the fourth when they manufactured it. Bunting, sacrifice fly.
Godwin going up after the pitch inside. Godwin had the sac bunt in the third inning. She's one right now. I think there's not a hitter on this Auburn roster that needs a hit more than Godwin. It's a check down to first base. Godwin gets the benefit.
The Auburn hitters are really having some good at bats. They're not going down without fighting for sure. They've fouled off a lot of pitches, and you know, when you get deep into a game, adding that 10, extra 15 pitches can make a difference to a pitcher.
Rogers slams the door. We're called strike three on the outside corner. Second strikeout of the night for Rogers. Both have come looking. Rogers trying to set her team up with another win tonight to add to the resume. They're 35-8, 10th in the RPI, 41st in strength of schedule, 12-8 against the top 50. And Tennessee certainly going to be in the conversation. Nothing more they'd love, though, late here in the season is to close out not 1 and 2 series wins, but they want a series win at Auburn, get a sweep over Mississippi State the midweek, and a series win over Missouri would really boost the resume right now too.
Yes, and they're one of 8, I think, SEC teams who are vying to look to host a regional.
Yeah, 20 locations were released, and there's 10 with Tennessee on the list included. There's some of the big names to keep in mind, and here's the back half of that list. And you see that Missouri in the SEC along with Tennessee, but man, you have the powers of UCLA and Oklahoma on the list, and certainly the NCAA tournament and the road to the Women's College World Series not only will go through the Southeast, but it'll go through the West and the Pac-12 and the Big 12.
And hosting is so big. I mean, when you get to sleep in your own bed, you don't have to travel like that. And I mean, I think for years people have thought Oklahoma has a home field advantage even at the World Series, and that's a team that doesn't need any more advantages.
But credit to them, though, right? I mean, it's back in the 90s, early 2000s. Nebraska would make the College World Series in baseball. I mean, that just goes with the territory.
For sure, and what a fun team to watch. I mean, they're gonna bring in. They pack the stadium.
Yeah, they do, and I was fortunate enough to be there at the 2016 National Championship Series between Auburn and Oklahoma, and it was 95% capacity, Oklahoma, and that's a huge stadium.
I think you had a better seat than I did then.
1-2, one hopper. Rogers snags, fires to first. A 1-2-3 inning for Rogers and the Lady Vols. They lead it 2-1 through 5.
Their 40th win in a row, and on the season now 33-0. High hopper to left, Georgia walks it off. The Sooners are unbeaten no more.
Not every team is going to play their best every single day. It's impossible. Every team goes through a little bit of a lull somewhere in your season, and this is it for you. So just know that we're coming out of this. Don't panic, don't freak out. Let's just continue to pick each other up when someone isn't at their best, and we'll get back to where you want to be.
Well, talk about a championship mentality right there, right? I mean, it's easy to get down after a win streak like that is snapped, and not for Patty Gasso, though. She knows that is one battle in a long, treacherous season, because she knows what the end goal is. I mean, she's been through the win streaks before. I mean, Oklahoma, that was the third longest win streak in D1 softball history, but that's not what they want at the end of the day. They think they won a national championship and come out of Oklahoma City on top in June. Morgan gives one a ride left center. Kaylee Horton tracks it down. It's one down for the Tigers.
When you're a storied program like that and you've been around for so long, Coach Gasso knows it's one game, and of course they had a streak on the line, but they have bigger goals, right? And they are going to be. It's really crazy to say this. There's a couple weeks left, but they're the team to beat.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure who can do it. I know Georgia just did, but consistently and in a 3-game series at the end, that's going to be tough.
And I know the conversation all year has been about the schedule, the strength of schedule, as Shipman takes the first pitch low. But you still have to play. You still have to win. And not only that, they're doing it with huge numbers. I mean, numbers we haven't seen, at least in recent years.
No, they're video game numbers. It's
1-0 Sky down the line for Shipman. Let's look at the RPI top 10, and I see a lot of SEC teams in the middle of that pack there. Auburn, Tennessee. Tennessee's amongst them. Auburn has played a handful of these teams this season. But as you notice, Oklahoma, they're in the middle of that list as well. 1-1. Nice play. Kepke making quick work of Allie Shipman. How about Kepke, though, too? So touching on her for a moment, Amy, is a couple innings ago, she took a tumble on third base. She fell picking a ball, got up to make the play, and I thought instantly she twisted her ankle, and she got up, walked it off, and has made every play tonight.
I did too. You know, she moved to her right and hit the base, and I thought she just did a good job of knocking the ball down and keeping it in front and saving a run, and then she got up and threw her out.
Here's the player that changed the game for Tennessee back 2 innings ago in the 4th inning. Solo home run with 2 outs from Chelsea Segard. That was her 5th of the year.
You talk about learning from at bat to at bat. When her first at bat's a strikeout, and then she comes up and puts a charge into one.
Oh, 1 hit straight away center. Kaylee Horton there for the catch, and it's a 1-2-3 inning. Pitcher's duel continues between Lowe and Rogers. The Tigers will have a chance to tie it when we come back.
Almost into May, so away we go.
I think what's impressive too is how rocky the start.
You have to learn how to win with your number 2.
They're called hitters. They're not called hit by pitchers.
We're not called ditchers either.
It's like nobody's talking about that, and that's a top 15, top 10 matchup.
It's this space than everybody else. Like, come on, people.
If you need to stay up to date on all things NCAA softball, the 7 Innings podcast is the place to start. And especially this time of year, only 2 weeks remaining in the regular season. Kaylee Horton, first pitch to Anna Fox, and Anna Fox taking care of business. Backhanded stop for the middle infielder.
As a middle infielder, and defense is my true love, that was unbelievable. She's going to make it look so easy on this replay, but just turning and flipping sidearm like that, like zero effort.
The flick of the wrist is what did it for me.
Wow.
1 down. That'll give Ashley Rogers a little charge here in the home half of the 6th inning.
And when you're getting defense like that behind you and you're striking out, I'm telling you, this team's going to be tough down the stretch.
Rivera getting in the hole 0-2. And Rogers, she's had 2 walks tonight, but for the most part, she's been pitching ahead of Auburn hitters tonight. And to Auburn's credit now, they've improved. They're not taking a lot of pitches. They're not getting too far behind in counts. They're getting their cuts, but Ashley Rogers has still been in control from the start of this game.
And she's getting a lot of foul balls that are going up, some pop-ups, and so you can tell when that rise ball is moving just enough to get the batter, get the hit under it.
Auburn needing 1 run to get us even here in the bottom of the 6th inning. If you want a bat that can do that with 1 swing, it's this one right here in Rivera. But Ashley Rogers fools her low and away, changed speeds. Got her first strikeout swinging tonight, 3rd overall.
You know, and that's kind of Rivera's Achilles heel. She will sometimes on those changeups, even when they're way out of the zone, because she's such a free swinger, just can't hold up.
Base is empty, 2 outs. Sydney Cox will have the next opportunity for Auburn. That's the first pitch strike for Ashley Rogers. Said that more times than not tonight. A winning recipe for the SEC strikeout leader. And the Lady Vol fans are making themselves loud and proud here on the Plains tonight.
Well, this is a big game for them, the big series. Again, going back to those 8 games, and I mean, they have a real shot to take 6, 7, or 8 of those games, and that will really, really change the position they're at in the SEC.
Cox laying off the drop ball. Pitch from Rogers. Runner up, called strike 3. 2 strikeouts in the 6th for Ashley Rogers, and the Lady Vols are 3 outs away. Ashley Rogers dealing her 3rd strikeout looking of the night. Lady Vols lead it by 1 through 6. We're in the 7th. Tennessee controlling 2-1 through 6. Shelby Lowe needing some run support, and run support's been tough to get for Shelby Lowe this season. 5 starts in the SEC, 1 run or less in those 5 starts, and Auburn averaging 2.3 runs per game. It's going to be tough here in the 7th against Ashley Rogers, but first, Shelby Lowe and the Auburn defense have to do their job. Auburn has to keep this game at 1 run here in the top half.
Yeah, and we actually addressed that with Coach Dean this week because, you know, as a freshman and how well she's done, and she's just seemed to keep it together under those circumstances.
It's Malloy to pop up to second. That's a big out.
And he just said, you know, we control the controllables, and she's done a great job of that, and she does hers, and everyone else needs to do theirs.
Let's look at where she ranks among freshmen in Division I softball. 1.06 ERA is 2nd, 3rd in strikeout to walk ratio, 4th in strikeouts, and 8th in walks per 7 innings. McConaughey with another chance at second, and it's 2 down. McConaughey, it's funny how the ball will find you. McConaughey subbing in for Sydney Cox at second. Not on the field, more than a minute, and she's already got 2 opportunities.
That is the rule, you're right. The ball will find you.
Well, she had plenty of opportunities last season and really fell out of contention for the starting job this year, but she had 6 starts at second base last year, and most of those came in the back half of the season. First pitch outside to Ivy Davis. Oh, what a called strike. Lowe's only at 93 pitches. It's just crazy how her and Ashley Rogers is almost dead even in pitch count. Tough play. Dowell on the hop, long throw. Not enough mustard behind it. Infield hit for Ivy Davis. And McKenna Dowell knew she didn't have much of a chance on that play, but she gave it a good effort.
Well, you see her smiling there, but the effort was good. She just comes in. That's a tough hop right there, and then her momentum is just falling backwards. And I think there's some major leaguers who couldn't make that throw across the field, but it was a good effort. She got it there.
This is nothing on Dowell. I was surprised she caught it just due to the hop there at the end and the angle she had to take. Here's Anna Fox.
You know, again, we go back to talking about this huge stat with Tennessee and their stolen base. They don't have one tonight. They attempted, but then was called for leaving early.
Yeah, that was Parsons' pinch runner back in the 4th inning, and turned out to be a costly mistake because that run would have come home to score on the home run. So instead of a 2-run 4th inning for Tennessee, it could have been a 3-run, and talking about not 1 but 2-run differential here in the 7th.
Man, as a coach, you know how big that 1 run is, and so I think Coach Weekly wanted to keep bringing that up a couple times to the umpire.
Bunt in front of home. Godwin goes to get it. McConaughey covers. Bang, bang at first. Godwin and McConaughey help out the pitcher in Shelby Lowe. 3 outs to play at J.B. Moore Field. It's going to come down to Garcia, Dowell, and Koepke on the other side. Bang, bang play to end the top of the 7th inning. Aspen Godwin retires Sidney Cox, and a stellar play. A bunt in front of home. Godwin goes to get it. I mean, we're not talking a half a step. We're talking about the length of a cleat.
It was just a great play by Aspen Godwin. I mean, her momentum was kind of thrown away. She was a little off angle, and it was close. And again, we go back talking to these umpires. They're having to make that right then and there, and we had to watch it 5 times before we decided.
Hey, but credit to where credit's due, and that's to Destiny Robinson, the first base umpire, to be able to make that call live. Because again, there's a lot of people that thought she was safe, but replay proved otherwise.
It looked like Tennessee's coaches thought she was safe.
Nonetheless, it was still a close play. And I went to break before that play, or before seeing the replay. I truly was not sure. Ground ball, here's Fox. Tennessee needs 2 outs.
And this is the point, Ray, when you just want to get on any way you can. Doesn't matter. Maybe you crowd the plate a little bit. Maybe you look for a pitch that's, you know, you're over the outside that you wouldn't usually hit, but you got to get your bat on it.
Kenna Dowell lays to base hit in the 4th inning. Can she do it again here in the 7th? Good pitch coming in from Rogers. Dowell's average at 300 even. And a year offense has been hard to come by for Auburn. It's pretty much been Dowell and Tyler King pacing Auburn in hits, both in the mid-30s, and Dowell 1 shy of her teammate Tyler King with 35 hits. Dowell sends one in the air and left, long run, but plenty of time is Kaylin Hannon.
Well, and Rogers has only given up 2 hits all game. And when you figure most times you need at least 2 hits to get a run in, that makes it tough.
Gonna come down. to Maya Engelkeys. And for Engelkeys, she had a pinch hit go-ahead RBI single in Game 3 against Texas A&M a couple weeks ago. Rally caps are on for Engelkeys and the Tigers. And I love to see that there. Yeah, the first one to cheer on was the hitter who she's pinch hitting for in Madison Kepke. And
now that's all. You know, between innings they were dancing, and I feel like they're in this game and, you know, still fighting, which is a good sign. And if you're Engelkeys here, you come out, you're hitting 118, you got nothing to lose, right? You see a pitch close, you're swinging.
She has 2 hits on the year with 2 runs batted in. Bouncing ball through the right side, snagged by Fox. She makes the play, and the Lady Vols take game 1. Oh, what a play by Anna Fox. She's had some dandies tonight over at second base.
And again, Tennessee's defense just really helping out Rogers there and get the excitement there, but what a great game. They just played really solid offense, defense, pitching, all phases.
Only 4 strikeouts from Ashley Rogers. The defense played solid tonight for Tennessee. Collectively, top to bottom, Tennessee, they got the 1 run or 1 inning of offense when they needed it. You combine that with the pitching and defense, Amy, Tennessee Lady Vol team, hard to beat.
They really, I'm just going to say it again. I think it's the 3rd time. They are going to be tough down the stretch for sure.
For Amy Reef, I'm Britt Bowen saying so long from Auburn, where the final score is Tennessee 2, Auburn 1. Be sure to tune into the SEC Network Plus tomorrow on Saturday, May 1st at 5 Eastern, 4 Central for Game 2 between the Auburn Tigers and number 16 Tennessee Lady Volunteers.